Remember, you were telling that India playing in Indian subcontinent, and BCCI having the influence to make some calls on what gets the nod and what doesn't, has or you think might have a small difference to make in the results.
Yeah, so I think there have been a number of controversies in that matter with regards to pitches and things like that, with BCCI having control over what sort of pitches are being made, which strip
Make it
they're
make
playing
it
in,
more
and
specific, man.
things
Like
like that.
by pitches,
Huh?
do you mean to say that by pitches, do you mean to say that BCCI tends to favor India by not making pitches that suit swing bowling or pace bowling?
Yeah, no, more even more like certain stadiums being preferred over certain stadiums when it comes to knockout games. Like for example, I don't think it's a coincidence that BCCI put the game in Wankhede for the semi-final instead of a pitch like Bangalore, which would have given the other team more of a chance to actually beat India. Also, I don't think like okay, this is just my opinion, but I don't think that India is losing the World Cup final in the Narendra Modi Stadium. It's just the setup is just too perfect in that sense, and I think if even if the final is against Australia, I think India is winning that final simply because where it is being held, the timing of the final in an election year. I think India
Right.
is winning in that
I
sense.
think it's kind of stretching a bit to say that. I mean, definitely there has to be some type of political posturing involved to rename a stadium after the current prime minister. But I think it's kind of stretching it to say that that would indirectly have a result or an impact on the on-field game. And also the fact that you mentioned, let's say if the match was happening in Chepauk or somewhere down south or even up north in Dharamshala or somewhere, uh, a stronger bowling pitch doesn't just favor one team, given the kind of bowling lineup that India has. Because
Yeah,
do you
sure,
think
but
Mohammad Shami
No,
on a good swinging wicket would be an easy opponent to face for any batsman or even Siraj for that matter? Again,
see, my point
yeah, there you
my
go.
point wasn't that for example, my point wasn't that key, okay, in a more swinging pitch Indian bowlers won't perform. My point was that key, if a pitch is smaller in size, let's just say the Bangalore ground, it gives more of a chance for the opponent to match India's batting firepower, let's just say, which
Okay, the other way around.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
batting firepower. And if it is a spinning track, let's just say somewhere like in Chennai, even if Indian spinners are really good, we have seen other teams coming and using their spinners very effectively against India as well. uh, in a pitch like Wankhede, with a team which has a lot of players from Mumbai playing in, or like players who are used to playing in Wankhede a lot, uh, it was always going to be an India win. And I don't think India is losing at Ahmedabad either. That's just my opinion.
I mean, I
Uh,
would I would
I
very much request you to clarify that. So you think India is not allowed to lose on Ahmedabad pitch, or India, because of its very clear cut sporting merit, will not be beaten in Ahmedabad pitch?
Can I say it's a bit of both? No, sporting merit wise, I think India is winning. India has been the most dominant team in this World Cup and the best team in this World Cup, in my opinion. But it's also the fact that uh, I don't think that India is losing, considering where the World Cup is World Cup final is being played. And I will just leave it at that. I don't want to invite further controversy.
Priska, what happened to you, man? Your stream, your video seems to be stuck somewhere, just like West Indies squad. What's happening? What's going on at your end?
yeah, I have no
No
idea.
movement.
But touching on the 100,000 stadium, and little bit of nonsense that they was spewing right before this, lot of which were, with all due respect, hindsight bias. Let's face it, Dave. None of us thought India would be having a run like this. And these schedules and stadiums, they were finalized at a time when you didn't even know if your best bowler in the team and in the world, he was actually going to be playing the tournament. And number two, you didn't know if India were gonna make it to the knockouts, to Wankhede, to finals. So it's still like having, the final be played at India's largest stadium for the sheer sporting spectacle it is. It's the best way to go, regardless of India is in the set finals or not. So I think you are reading up a little bit too much into that. With the benefit of hindsight, if India had crashed and burned in the group stages, this would have been a non-discussion to begin with.
I don't think that there was any scenario where, even though in at the start of the tournament there was this doubt about India's what is India's best combination, if certain Indian players are in form or not in form, what is going to be India's bowling lineup. Even with all that, I don't think anyone expected India to crash and burn out of the group stages, simply because India, even if it is a bad Indian team, in India they perform well regardless. That has always been the case. So I think the minimum that anyone expected in a World Cup that is happening in India, out of the Indian team, was at least a semi-final
Come
run.
on, come
Even if,
on, man.
even
Okay.
if, see, even if India had lost a game or two on that run, I don't think anyone
Yeah,
expected India to
Dave, Dave,
crash out of the
the
group
only
stages.
the only distinction
Semi-final
there
was
is,
the
if India
semi-final
had,
was the minimum India was
yeah,
going to
yeah, I
go, at
got that
least.
point. But the difference is, if India had lost a couple of games or just qualified like South Africa or Australia, India would have been playing this game in Bangalore and not Wankhede. So there itself, your point sort of becomes null and void. I think you just have to, you know, bow down at this point and admit that you got a little bit carried away by India's superior performance, unless VS wants to step in and try to save this argument for you.
Yeah, I'm not saving nobody's argument, but then I see when let's not hide it. I mean, let's not pretend that it doesn't exist, because you don't address the elephant in the room doesn't mean that the elephant ceases to exist. So cricket historically in India, at least since we won the World Cup in '83, it is more than just a sport. I mean, it's a very cliche definition that newspapers tend to use and overuse and again. But people use it so often because it holds some value. Cricket is religion over here, and cricketers are God. And in a country like ours, as big and wide, with a sport wielding such a mass influence over people, it is only reasonable to expect that certain people in certain positions might very well want to leverage the after effects or the glimmer that the sport might bring in. Now, the question should be, is that necessarily wrong? I don't think the question exists if that is being done or not, because we have seen BCCI historically has also been ruled by the members of one particular political party. When you look at it from the back in the day, it was a lawyer who passed away recently, Arun Jaitley. It was Arun Jaitley. Then
Mm-hmm.
it went to Anurag Thakur, and right now we have the cute
Jai
little
Shah.
guy. What is his name? Yeah, Jay Shah.
Jai Shah.
Jay Shah taking the reins of BCCI. So you put it against the background. Okay, this sport, it wields a lot of influence, and us being a democratic country, influence matters a lot. And we in our country, all of us, including the three of us, we respect cricketers. But then, to expect that people who have certain powers, people who have a certain influence on the game, to just be bystanders and try to not to take off some of that sheen is unreasonable. And Kriska, I'll just tell you one thing. You are probably right when you said that there was no guarantee that India was making it all the way to the final to have it in the Ahmedabad stadium. But in such a situation, in such a scenario, sometimes you just set the stage and hope that the dancers perform. which is one thing I would definitely say that we have done. Now, the question if there is something wrong about it or not is something entirely different, and I'm conveniently skipping answering that question. But I would very much agree with Dave that the stage was set and the team happened to perform.
Agreed that.
So it's well and good. It's playing into the script at the end of the day. The script was
Okay,
always
And
there.
fair enough.
I'll still stick to the fact that India was always expected to make it to the semi-final at least. There was
Yeah.
a chance that
And I
India
just
might
want
have
to I
lost
just want to
the
say one
semi-final,
thing.
but
We have addressed the one political angle of it, and there is nothing wrong with it. But then at the end of the day, let's not try to take away the shine from many of the players, because these guys have gone out there, represented the country,
definitely,
and done
definitely.
a massive, massive job.